special and interesting day because I'm actually heading to Chernobyl, which is the place where a big nuclear disaster happened in the late 80s. I am joining a tour as that is the only way you can visit this place. Yeah, it caused a lot of destruction and people's lives, so I think it will be a very touching day, but it's also very interesting to get to know about the happening and also spread the message of green energy to ensure that this kind of disaster never happens again. So with that said, let's head out there. We have now entered the checkpoint and we have received our dosimeters to check the level of radiation here. Also, when you are in this area, you have to have be as covered as possible, so long sleeves, long pants, covered shoes, and you also have to be over 18 to enter the area. And when you come here, don't forget to bring your passport because you will need that to enter the area, and then you'll get a specific ticket which you have to keep during the whole time that you visit here because you'll hand it back when you exit the area. So yeah, now we're going to start to explore the area. On the bus ride here we also saw a documentary about Chernobyl, so that was very interesting to see. But yeah, let's explore the area. So we have got off the bus and come to our first stop, which is one of the small villages very close to the city of Chernobyl. And here you can actually walk in to the abandoned houses, and I think that this, where I am at now, is an old grocery store, and we're also going to go into the old maternity ward where babies were delivered in this village. But yeah, it's really spooky, and you can see spiders, that things have just been totally abandoned and they're closed, and yeah, just look here. Walking through here is just so tragic, and you realize the major devastation and the fear that people must have been in, because things are just totally left here, and yeah, it's scary to see. And when people actually found out about this, who lived in the area, they were given 2 hours to collect all of their things and jump on buses to evacuate these places. So yeah, that's why also things are left like this, because they never returned. And we have made it to the town of Chernobyl, and people actually live here, but you're not allowed to stay here permanently. You're only allowed to stay here 15 days, so the people who work here work 15-day shifts. And yeah, there are different monuments that are dedicated to the people who worked with the devastation.
10-kilometer zone is contaminated because here liquidators were decontaminating objects. Till present days we have only 2 ways how to do it. Imagine that, let's say, a car will be contaminated. The first option will be to wash off radiation with simple water, adding some chemicals or washing powder. If it's gonna help, you can keep it, but if it's not gonna help, you will need to use the second option, which will be to bury the car. And that's what they did. They created burial sites. They were digging up trenches, putting in concrete, throwing off radioactive waste, pouring with concrete, and then covering with soil on top to make it solid. We have approximately 800 official burial sites here, and no one knows how many unofficial ones. And that's the problem, because back in time people were in rush. They were just choosing the place burning everything and then just leaving. And if people will come back to this territory, they will be potentially growing their fruits or vegetables or building houses on the burial site.
We continued to the Duga radar, which is a 150 meter tall and 700 meter long radar which was constructed in 1972 when Soviet scientists were looking for ways to mitigate long-range missile threats.
And also here we are in the 10-kilometer zone where the levels of radiation are a lot higher. Before we were in the 30-kilometer zone, but we have crossed another checkpoint and we're in an area of even more radiation. So yeah, and we're getting close to the power plant itself, which probably will be the next stop. So
the Chernobyl power complex lies about 130 kilometers north of Kiev, Ukraine. The nuclear accident happened on the 26th of April 1986 when reactor number 4 exploded during a safety test. Around 600,000 Soviet workers helped to build a covering over the reactor to lock in radioactive materials.
So we're currently heading to lunch in the canteen of the workers here at Chernobyl power plant. So yeah, it's very surreal to eat lunch here where this all happened, but yep, we're heading there now. And to be able to enter the canteen and to have lunch, you have to go through these radiation checks to just see that nothing is contaminated that you're wearing. But I went through, I'm not contaminated, so that's good, so we're heading to lunch now.
To the
And we have made our way to the old abandoned city of Pripyat. We got to see a old gymnasium hall and a swimming pool and an abandoned apartment building. And yeah, this was home to 50,000 people.
The city of Pripyat was founded in 1970 as a nuclear city in the Soviet Union to serve the nuclear power plant. In 1979, the population had grown to nearly 50,000 by the time it was evacuated in the afternoon of April the 27th, 1986, the day after the disaster.
Okay, so I made it inside one of the buildings here in Pripyat. And it's very, very And now we are inside one of the kindergartens, and as you can see, there were
Nie mogą, bo się nie mogą też
small
ogarnąć
cots
tym
and
drewnem.
there were shoes and
Just
lots of things that are abandoned here.
The evacuation of the city was done with 1,200 buses and 200 lorries. People were told to take a few personal belongings and quickly evacuate, as it was thought that they would be returning within a few days.
And behind me here you can see the iconic Ferris wheel here in Pripyat. And this amusement park actually never opened. It was scheduled to open just a few days after the disaster. But yeah, so it's the abandoned amusement park in Pripyat. Yeah, it's so strange to be here. But it's amazing to see the beautiful nature around that has taken over instead of the concrete and metal buildings and structures. So that is very, very beautiful. We are now currently at the main square where they had a fully functioning supermarket, restaurant, cultural center, hotel, And yeah, this was kind of a Soviet paradise. The supermarkets were full and you could just go there and buy things which wasn't very common in the Soviet Union. Soviet paradise to attract people to work at the power plants. So yeah, I think this is the last stop of the tour. Then we're going to start heading back towards Kiev. We're going to also do a check again to see, control our radioactivity and see that nothing is contaminated. But yeah, it's been surreal, very, very interesting, and yeah, a very interesting day.